Man, I'm excited for 2024. I mean, we got a Mad Max prequel, we got a sequel to Joker coming, and we got Deadpool 3 featuring Wolverine. Yeah, this is going to be a great year for film. I can just tell. Now, let's get started with my most anticipated top 10 films of 2024. Let's go. What's going on all my cartoon and movie lovers? This is JC from JC Flicks, and today I'm going to be giving you my top 10 most anticipated movies for this year of 2024 and why I'm super hyped for these films in particular. So before I do get started, please make sure that you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date on new videos. So let's get started with number 10, Saw 11. Now, I know this may come as a surprise to some of you, but Saw 10 really surprised me this past year, and I'm excited for this sequel. Now, most of the sequels in the past, with some of them being like Spiral, which was a spin-off to the Saw series, and even Jigsaw in particular, I felt like they were really underwhelming. So I wasn't expecting much going into Saw 10 when I saw it in 2023. But with how Saw 10 left off and with it now being one of my favorite entries in the series, I feel like I am so stoked for part 11 and what they're going to do with, I mean, this is a small spoiler, but it's not really much. They do leave off with showing Hoffman in one of the post-credit scenes, and I'm really excited because I love what they did with his character in this series, and I'm curious to see how they involve him in the plot for the sequel, with it being in between, I think they're saying now between part 3 and 4. Maybe even 2 and 3, but I'm just really excited to see where they're going to go with Hoffman. Now, this leads me to number 9, The Fall Guy. After leaving the business 1 year earlier, battle-scarred stuntman Colt Seavers springs back into action when the star of a big studio movie suddenly disappears. As the mystery surrounding the missing actor deepens, Colt soon finds himself ensnared in a sinister plot that pushes him to the edge of a fall more dangerous than any stunt he's ever done. I mean, doesn't that sound like a lot of fun to you guys with that plot? And it features Ryan Gosling. I mean, you guys should know already, but not only did Gosling do a great job in the Barbie movie this past year, but he's got to be one of my favorite actors in the business right now, next to Leo DiCaprio and even Denzel. Now, this leads me to number 8, Nosferatu. Well, maybe one of the most anticipated films for the past, I don't know how many years now, the horror classic Nosferatu is finally getting a remake. Let's just hope they do it some kind of justice. But the film will feature Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok, Lily Rose Depp, William Dafoe, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Nicholas Hoult, and more. I mean, with this star-studded cast and this new take on the silent film, it's got me really excited to see how they bring it to the big screen. I also love how so far director Robert Eggers, who was behind such films as The Lighthouse and The Witch, has been teasing the look of the creature so far in Nosferatu. And I love how he hasn't really shown the creature yet. And I'm hoping that he keeps that going and kind of builds up the hype until the release of that movie. Now, this leads me to number 7, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. We all remember the 2021 film, and I mean, I had fun with it and didn't expect much but a good time with Godzilla and Kong decking it out, right? But with Godzilla Minus One being my number 1 top pick of 2023 films this past year, it has me geeked for this new one, by the way. If you guys have not checked out my top 10 films of 2023, with that being number 1, please check it out somewhere up here. But I'm so stoked for this one, you guys. Although Godzilla Minus One isn't in the same universe as Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, they are still teasing a lot of the team up between Godzilla and Kong joining forces to fight this new villain, Scar King. I mean, who doesn't like the last few seconds of the trailer that they just released a couple of months ago showing Godzilla and his new look with that pink type of radiation going on with his spikes, and Kong with his robot arm both running together? I mean, it just looks really epic, and it looks like one of those popcorn films that you might enjoy for the summer or just for the year in general. Now, this leads me to number 6, Dune Part 2. This film was originally in my top most anticipated films of 2023, but with the writer's strike and all that happened last year, it is now my number 6 most anticipated films of this year. Denis Villeneuve created a beautiful, cinematic, breathtaking world in Part 1 and an intriguing story to remake for the 80s film and the books, right? I'm glad that Part 1 not only built on the characters more appropriately, but also showed the world of Dune in a way that was more vivid than the books, in my opinion, of course. So it's no shocker that this is my number 6 pick. Also, Denis Villeneuve is currently one of my favorite directors in the business right now. Now we're getting into my top 5 with number 5, The Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim. All right, if you guys are wondering if I was that Lord of the Rings nerd growing up, then your guess is probably correct. I'm a huge fan of the original Peter Jackson trilogies as far as the films and the original books written by J.R.R. Tolkien. I even read them in elementary school and middle school. But even better than that, in late 2023, it was announced that this film will be an anime prequel to the original trilogy. So far, it is slated to be in theaters late 2024 and early December. I cannot wait. I have loved the folklore of The Lord of the Rings, the world, the stories, and in general, I love anime and just cartoons, right? I mean, that's pretty much what I'm about here on JC Flicks. If you guys have not checked out some of my other videos talking about other cartoons, and even projects that involve animation and just films in general, right? Now, this leads me to number 4, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. We are finally getting a release to the prequel of the highly rated Mad Max Fury Road, and I'm totally here for it. This one should be no surprise to you guys that it's on my list, and it's also a prequel to George Miller's practically perfect film of Mad Max Fury Road that featured Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, but this one will feature Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa herself, Chris Hemsworth, and even Nicholas Hoult reprising his role. With the trailer dropping a few months ago, I'm definitely getting impatient for this one, and I cannot wait to see what George Miller does for this prequel. Now, number 3, Beetlejuice 2. This is perhaps a film that has been anticipated for the past 2 decades or so, and it has to be one of Tim Burton's most anticipated films thus far. Beetlejuice 2 is going to bring back Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice himself, Winona Ryder, and the cast will be bringing in Jenna Ortega for the sequel, who is one of my favorite actresses coming up in the business. They have yet to drop a trailer for this one, but this just had to be in my top 3 due to my childhood and my brothers and I watching every single Tim Burton film that released in theaters. I mean, what can you say about his films? Other than that, they are dark, somber delight for families everywhere, and he captures the gloom like no other director. Now, this leads me to number 2, Deadpool 3. I'm a huge fan of the series, you guys, as well as Deadpool in general, as he's probably one of my favorite anti-heroes to date. This film is not only going to bring back our star of the show, Ryan Reynolds himself as Deadpool, but it also has Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. The recent set photos have, I think, had everyone's inner comic book nerd screaming from the inside, teasing what may happen in this highly anticipated sequel to the first 2 films. Just seeing Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up on the big screen has to be one of those moments that every X-Men fan growing up has been waiting for years. So I'm definitely excited for this one, so it's no shock that it's number 2. Now, before I do get to number 1, I do have some honorable mentions that I did not want to forget for you guys. And I'm sure you guys are probably going to bring some of these up in the comments, but I wanted to lightly brush over these and why they're not part of my top 10, but they almost made it, okay? Now, the first one is Kung Fu Panda 4. Now, I'm a fan of this series, but I kind of feel like with the last film in part 3, the way the story left off, I felt like they could have stopped after 3, but it could really change my perspective and change my mind once it comes out. So hopefully it's still good. Now, with the second one, Alien Romulus. Now, I'm a very big fan of Fede Alvarez and everything that he's put out so far, so I am pretty hyped for it, but I'm cautiously optimistic due to the past few Alien films that we've gotten, with Prometheus and even with Alien Covenant not being so great. So I'm cautiously optimistic and hopefully it's good. Now, number 3, Terrifier 3. Now, I am a fan of the Terrifier series, but with number 2 being so kind of jumbled everywhere, and I love Art the Clown, his style, and even the way they've presented him and how gory he is and some of the things he does, I felt like part 2 had a lot of unanswered questions on how things were going to end, how they were able to do certain things, and especially with the story, I just felt like it didn't really end in a good note. But let's see if those unanswered questions are answered in part 3. Now, number 4, Wolfman. Now, I'm pretty excited for what they've announced thus far, and especially with rumors being that it's going to be announced somewhere on Halloween or maybe on Halloween weekend or even before Halloween. But one of the things that I'm leery about is that originally it was rumored to have Ryan Gosling as the star of the film. And again, previously I've talked about Ryan Gosling, how great of an actor he is. Well, they replaced him with another actor, and I'm hoping he does a great job, but just that in general kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. But we'll see if it changes my mind. Hopefully it's good. I'm cautiously optimistic about that one as well. Now, this is my last number 5 as the honorable mentions. Bad Boys 4. Although slated for 2024, we still don't know if it's going to be pushed back due to the writer's strike, all those things. And also, I did like part 3, but I felt like it was a little bit of a step down compared to part 2 and part 1. So we'll see if it does come out, and we'll see if it's better than part 3. All right, now the moment you guys have all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. My number 1 most anticipated film for 2024 is Joker Folie à Deux. I probably pronounced that wrong, but Joker 2. The sequel to the 2019 masterpiece, in my opinion at least, is slated to hit theaters in October of this year, and it follows Joaquin Phoenix reprising his role of the Joker and Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's probably really early for me to be predicting this as being a good film or even a great one at that, but seeing how Todd Phillips blew us all away with his first film, plus seeing Joaquin Phoenix's masterclass performance of the Joker, I'm hopeful that this will be nothing else but short of great. Now, although it is said to be a musical and it stars Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, I beg anyone to go and watch the performances of Lady Gaga in A Star is Born and American Horror Story Hotel and tell me she didn't do a good job in either one of those. And I believe she did in both. Plus, I actually enjoy musicals. Might be a surprise to you guys. And if Todd Phillips can capture Joker's chaotic mind along with Harley Quinn's sense of codependency mixed with a dark take on a musical like that of Sweeney Todd, the Demon of Fleet Street, then I don't see why this film can be bad. Alright guys, so that brings this video to an end. So what are your top 10 most anticipated films for 2024, and which ones would you say I missed? I know there were some that were in the honorable mentions, and it was really difficult, you guys, to compile all this into 10 most anticipated films for me because, again, as we all know, every year that passes by, sometimes some of those films in your top 10 or the ones that are most anticipated end up being flops or just ones that are not very good. So it was really difficult for me, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please comment below with your guys' picks, even if they're just top 5. Once again, my name's JC from JC Flicks, and until next time, I'm out.